Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can tell by the title, I wanted to talk about all the books that I'm getting rid of as we go into 2022. So I have a lot of books. You can't really tell in this frame because I'm blocking some of them. The bookshelf goes like higher. I have books elsewhere in my room. And I just figured, I'm asking for some books for Christmas. I buy myself new books all the time. And it's just getting a little bit crazy. It's not really fitting. It's just getting out of hand. So I wanted to get rid of some of the books that either I didn't love or that I liked, but I know I'm never going to read again and I just don't need them in my collection. So I am getting rid of, let me count, 14 books today. It's just time. They just gotta go. So if you want to see which books I'm getting rid of or which books I'm unhauling and why, just keep watching. Alright, these aren't in any particular order. I'm just grabbing the books that I'm seeing next to me and I'm just gonna go through them. I'm gonna go quick because I don't want this video to be super long and I don't want to kind of go on and on about books that I didn't love. There's no need for that. So I'm just gonna go quickly through which books I'm getting rid of and why, and then we'll just move on. All right, so let's start with an easy one, the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. I dedicated an entire video to this series basically on how much I didn't like it. It is I guess like urban fantasy that has a lot of vampires and romance, and it's just not good. It just falls short for me. The plot is and the instant love and the instant steam is just like, I don't recommend them. I bought 3. I didn't even read the third one because I didn't like them that much, and so there's no need for me to keep them. They're just taking up space. So I'm definitely getting rid of this series. The next book that I want to talk about is The Cold-Hearted Rake by Lisa Kleypas. I think Kleypas. I don't think I've even talked about this book on my channel. I read a lot of historical romances. I really like this genre. It's good if I need something light and easy, just like fun, good banter, romance. This was alright. It definitely isn't my least favorite book that I've read all year. But I just don't see myself really reading it again. I don't really see myself recommending it. There's just a lot of historical romances that I like better. So for that reason, yeah, it's just gotta go. It isn't just an average historical romance. Like the plot is good, the banter is fine, the romance is fine. It's just average. So for that reason, I don't need it. It's just taking up space. So this will be the next book that I'm getting rid of this year. All right, and the next book that I want to talk about is Never Kiss a Duke by Megan Frampton, and I do believe that I talked about this on my channel, but I don't think I recommended it. Again, it's just kind of a basic historical romance, and like when you read historical romances, you kind of know what you're getting into. Usually they're not that deep, they're not that intricate, they're not that shocking because they kind of are a relatively like formulaic genre that all kind of are similar and they have similar tropes. They have like, the dashing man and the like innocent or maybe not so innocent like girl, and there's ballrooms and there's banter and there's like poofy dresses and all of this stuff, and you're getting into that when you read historical romance, and I'm okay with that. I like that. I love the banter. Like give me some like fun like lord and lady banter. I'm down with that. I'm down with some steam. I'm down with it being kind of formulaic and repetitive to an extent, but there's moments when like you can kind of tell a really good historical romance from just like a so-and-so or bad historical romance. And this I wouldn't put in the bad category by any means, but it also wasn't great. It was just kind of, it is what it is, and that's that. So kind of in the same like category as the previous book that I just talked about. It's good, but I'm not going to read it again, and I'm not really going to talk about it again because there's other historical romances that I liked better, and so for that reason I am getting rid of it. All right, so the next book that I'm unhauling, I might get some like heat from the booktube community, but I just didn't like it, and that is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. So when I purchased this book, I had really high hopes and I was really excited because I've heard really good things about this author, but I've actually never read anything by her before. So I heard about this book, it got pretty good reviews, the author has really good kind of reviews and a really strong following. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it because I'm probably gonna like it. That was not the case. It like took me a really long time to get through this book, even though it's not even that long. It was kind of boring, and like the like metaphors that she put in there, like I get where she was going, but I kind of wish they were a little bit more subtle. Like they were really like in your face, like this is that and this is what I'm trying to say. And like I don't necessarily disagree with what she was saying, but like I just wish it was a little bit less like in your face. Like just like get the point across, and like by telling the story, and like I'm following you, I'm getting you, I'm agreeing with you, like yes, but you don't have to like put it in my face that like that's what you're trying to say, you know? Like I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I just didn't love it. So The City We Became is I guess I would say it's a sci-fi that takes place in modern New York City. And basically how it works is that cities in this world are alive, and they kind of have this like human avatar that's like the city come to life, if you will, like the city in human form. And the city is being attacked by like our bad guy, and it's up to the New York City avatar to kind of defend the city and protect it from the bad guy. But when the kind of, I guess, avatar, he doesn't really know what he's doing and he falls sick, the city's defense of that is to pop up, instead of a kind of unified New York City avatar, they have like individual borough avatars. So there's one from like Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, all of that stuff. So you get like all of the avatars from each borough, and then they need to like band together, save the New York City avatar so he can save the city as a whole. So like when I say it like that, it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like, tell me more. But like, I don't know. It just wasn't that good. And I'm sure there's like so many other sci-fis and so many other books that are better, and I just know that I will not recommend this, and I know that I will not reread it. And so for those reasons, I am unhauling it. All right, so the next books that I'm getting rid of in this video is the Imperium series, starting with Furyborn by Claire Legrand. So here's the thing. When I read the first book, I loved it. I was like, this is so great. What a great new like fantasy series. Like everything about it is so interesting. We had like really high fantasy, and we had nice theme and romance, and it was like kind of a forbidden love, and like all these things that like make it so interesting. And you had like different timelines, and you had two different characters, and like it was going back and forth, and it was like you didn't know how they were going to intersect and how they affected each other. And it was like all these things were so great. But then as the series just like went on, it just somehow got worse and worse. And like that sounds really mean, but like honestly, I would rate the first book a 5, the second book a 4, and the last book a 3. And a 3 is pretty bad for me. That means I don't like it. Like that means I'm not going to read it again. That means I'm probably not recommending it. So I can't recommend a series if I hated the way it ended, you know? So yeah, it just, I don't know. Something about it is really frustrating while reading, and I think it's because you watch your main character. A little bit of a spoiler here, so if you're planning on reading this series, skip a minute or two. But the issue I think that I have with this book is that you watch your main character in the first one, Riel, who is like the heroine in the first one, kind of like fall from grace and really get manipulated by the bad guy. And then instead of using her powers for good because she's extremely powerful, she kind of becomes our villain. And it's just extremely frustrating to read, and it's hard when it's like the other characters are like trying to help her and she's just like making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, and like selfish decision after selfish decision, blah blah blah. And so like I get it, you don't have to like the character for it to be a good book, but it just kind of ruined the book for me. I was just kind of, oh, like she just kind of goes bad. So I don't know. And like the whole time travel aspect, that can be tricky because time travel is just tricky because it's like what type of time travel? Are we talking about Back to the Future time travel? Are we talking about like Avengers Endgame time travel? Like there's so many different time travel, and then there's different rules, and it's like, what do you buy into? What do you not buy into? If you go into the past and you change it, that changes things, and then, or like, did it already happen? So it would have already changed it. So it's like, it's confusing. So that just is another thing that it's like, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on time travel, so it just like adds a layer, and I don't know. It just, here's the thing about it. There are so many better fantasy series out there that I love so much more, and because of that, I just don't need these 3 books taking up this much room on my bookshelf. So that is why I'm getting rid of it. Okay, and to finish this series off, I am unhauling the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. And first of all, 5 books, and they're thick. Like, this is just taking up a lot of room. And for me to have a series that's taking up this much room on my bookshelf, I need to love it. It's gotta be like Throne of Glass, Court of Thorns and Roses, Blood and Ash, even Twilight level. Like, I gotta love it. I gotta be like, I love this series, I recommend this series, or it's like nostalgic like the way Twilight is. I wouldn't recommend Twilight right now necessarily, but it's just, it's in my heart from when I was younger. Anyway, this series just fell short for me. So it's kind of similar to the Imperium trilogy for me, where like when I first read the first book, I really thought it was good and I liked it, and I recognized that it was more of a YA fantasy and not new adult, which isn't my favorite. I do like it to be a little bit more mature and a little bit older and a little bit more intricate, but I really liked the first book and where it was going. And we have our main character Mare. This is a high fantasy series as well. We have our main character Mare, and she grows up really poor and kind of with the, I want to say they're red-blooded people, and then the silver-blooded people have powers and the red-blooded people don't, and so the silver-blooded people kind of take advantage of having their powers and like make the red-blooded people poor, and they have no say, and they have, you know, nothing. They have no power, you know, like actually like physical powers, and like no power in the world. And I like the representation of like the different bloodlines representing like different races of people in the real world, and how other people are suppressed for whatever reason. So I really liked that aspect. I thought that was really interesting and a really cool take on kind of saying something without saying it, which was kind of my issue with The City We Became, is that they didn't say it without saying it, they just said it, and then I was like, whoa. But this one says it without saying it, and I really liked that aspect. But with this book, kind of again with the Imperium series, it just got like every book got worse, and that's just really frustrating. It's hard to like dedicate time to reading a really long series when it's just like going downhill. And I'm like, if I know I'm never going to read the series again because I didn't like the way it ended, why would I keep all of these books on my bookshelf? I'm never going to recommend it because I don't really love it, and it's just taking up room. Another thing that I didn't like about this series is the relationship, like our main romantic relationship. So I get it. Relationships have issues, like nothing is ever going to be perfect, you know, they're going to fight, but it's really frustrating reading 4 or 5 books of a relationship where they fight every single book. It's like, this is just unhealthy. Like, break up, because if you're just going to fight at every turn, this is so annoying to read. Like, I want you guys to band together and fight everybody else. Like, it's you against the world, not you against each other. Like, that's so annoying. And it's like, when they fight in the first one, it's like, all right, like they're still figuring it out, you know, they're not like, they haven't just been like, it's you and me, it's you and me. They're still figuring it out. But when it's like still happening in the 3rd and 4th book, I'm just like, I don't even want you guys to be together anymore. Like, you have so many issues. Like, first of all, just communicate. Like, just be open and honest and just say what you're thinking and say what you're planning, because then maybe you would have less issues to just say something. And second off, if you don't like the way the other person's doing stuff, like, maybe you just shouldn't be together, and like, that's okay. And then just break up and be with other people. Like, I don't mind that happening. Like, fight, break up, be with someone else, and then have that be a good relationship. Like, kind of like a Court of Thorns and Roses, right? She has her love interest in the first one, it's not who she ends up with, and that's okay. But then at the end, when she's with the person she's supposed to be with, they don't fight every 5 seconds. So I'm going off on a tangent. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell. But yeah, so all of that in all, I will be getting rid of all of these books, obviously. All right, so that is all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit different than what I usually talk about, but yeah, just trying to switch it up, keep it fun, keep it interesting. So I hope you guys liked it. Please like this video if you did. Please subscribe if you're not already, because it really supports my channel. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.